What the hell happened? How on earth did things escalate this You know what? Let's just go back to the beginning. Wait, what? Not that far. Come. In the early 2000s, there really wasn't another animation company that came close to the success of Pixar. While Disney and other animation studios were off trying stuff, Pixar decided that no, we're gonna be different. We're not like the other girls. Studios. I meant studios. In a time where Disney was in the middle of a 2D renaissance and 3D animation looked like the stuff of nightmares, Pixar took a risk and oh boy did it pay off. The beginning of their glorious run was Toy Story. This cinematic marvel blew people's minds. And no, I'm not just talking about the animation. I'm talking about the concept. I mean, toys that come to life, that's just brilliant. If you went your entire childhood without suddenly bursting into your room, hoping you can catch your toys in the act of moving, then I'm sorry, but this film clearly didn't impact you enough. Pixar followed this up with A Bug's Life, arguably the best computer animated film about bugs that came out in 1998. I mean, seriously, DreamWorks, you were not ready. A year later, Pixar released Toy Story 2, which was better than the first. Fight me. Monsters Inc., in my opinion, the best Pixar film of all time. Is it because of its creative concept and moving message? Yep, sure, I guess, but mostly because of Mike Wazowski. Yeah! Finding Nemo. Out of all the horrific and terrifying things to happen in this movie, somehow the most scary thing in this film is still Darla. But no, really, this film is everything that Pixar is. It's incredible. Speaking of Incredibles, The Incredibles. As great as this film is, I'm amazed how much it got away with under Disney. But seriously, this film is a cinematic masterpiece. Incredibles walked so Spider-Verse could run. I'm just saying. Cars, a simplistic story about slowing down and appreciating the small things in life. Let's hope it stays that way. Ratatouille, this film is about a rodent that likes to cook. That is so stupid. But this is Pixar, so obviously it is one of the best films ever made. Not only that, but it made the food Ratatouille look appealing. That is an achievement on its own. WALL-E, half of this movie is no one even speaking, and somehow I am still invested. I want to see these robots fall in love. Up, don't let the pretty colours and talking dogs fool you. This film will make you bawl your eyes out for the next 10 years. Toy Story 3, for anyone that actually believed Andy's toys were going to die at the end of this movie, then fair enough, because oh my god, it makes my heart race every time. During these 15 years, Pixar continued to release hit after hit after hit, with no sign of slowing down. Until... Cars 2 did something, and no, it wasn't a good thing. Nothing good has come out of this film's existence, but it did start a chain reaction of mediocre Pixar films that would follow. From a string of sequels to some films that were pretty underwhelming, there were only a couple of truly good originals to come out during 2011 to 2019. Now, while I will defend Monsters U, Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4 with my life, it was clear that something needed to change for Pixar. People wanted to see original films from this company that had proven time and time again in the 2000s that they can make good originals. So they made the commitment for the foreseeable future they would be making only but originals. So you'd think everything would be good now, right? Everyone would be happy? No. Of course not. Onward, apparently people think it doesn't feel like a Pixar movie. Soul, people think it feels too much like a Pixar movie. Luca, people complain it feels too simple and doesn't take risks. Turning Red, apparently it takes too many risks. Lightyear, people hate it because, well, at this point, why not? As well as this, in 2020 where Pixar started to purely just make originals, releasing Onward, the pandemic started, meaning that Pixar films were just thrown onto Disney+, meaning they really weren't making any money back. Because of this, Onward, Soul, Luca, Turning Red all paid the price. And even as of last year when Lightyear came out into cinemas, it completely underperformed at the box office. But that brings us to Elemental, Pixar's latest film, and similar to Lightyear, it ain't doing too hot. Okay, I swear, that will be my only element-related pun of the video, okay? I promise. Elemental is definitely taking it rough right now in terms of its reception from both audiences and critics, but also at the box office, where I'm pretty sure it's one of Pixar's lowest box office openings. I was certainly nervous going in, but I knew I was going to like it anyway because, you know, it's Pixar, their films are great, but after everything I'd heard about it, and also not exactly being impressed with the trailer, I was definitely skeptical. I actually brought my sister along out of fear that I would be the only one in the cinema. But to my surprise, the cinema was packed and the film was actually great. From beginning to end, I was just so immersed within this world. The characters were great, the world was creative, the story was complex, it was really good. Is it one of Pixar's best? Oh, I wouldn't say best, but it's nowhere near the bottom either. The film follows Ember, a young fire girl who is struggling with the pressure of taking over her father's business. This is where she meets a water guy named Wade, and the two fall in love over the course of the film, in a journey of self-discovery while struggling with the acceptance as a fire-water couple. For a concept as creative as this, you really need to just appreciate it on the big screen to take it all in, because it's truly amazing. I genuinely thought the immigration story and the way the fire people were able to build a home in this city that didn't always accept them was really interesting, despite the fact it did leave me with some questions, such as, if water can kill fire people, then why are they so casual about it just falling from everywhere? I mean, seriously, this is so dangerous. Wade's nephew literally threatens to tip Ember into the water just because the idea that she might die sounded really funny. Also, the city looks incredible. However, with a city as creative as this, I did feel kind of underwhelmed with the names of the places. Like the city where the film takes place and all the elements live is called, wait for it, Element City. You couldn't be any more creative, Pixar. Oh, and get this right, the place where Ember's family come from, where all the fire people live, is called Fireland. What? Now, I was fully invested with Wade and Ember's relationship, okay? Call it cliche, but I was rooting for them throughout the entire film. It really was the Pixar equivalent of a rom-com, a very much Romeo and Juliet type story. You know, without the ending, of course. Actually, no, that's not even completely true, because Wade does die, but then he just cries himself back to life. I'm sorry? I mean, it wasn't sad, because we all know he's gonna get brought back to life by the end, but that's not to say the film isn't without its emotional moments, because it does have them, but there was never really a time where I was crying my eyes out. In fact, that award goes to the short before the film, because even before the film had started and the short had just finished, I was already an emotional wreck. If you didn't know, before Elemental started playing, a short called Carl's Date featured before the film. And oh my gosh, it started out as a fun, light-hearted adventure with Carl preparing to go on a date, but as soon as that music started and Carl was saying goodbye to Ellie, I was done. Oh god. I feel like with a film called Elemental, they really only explore the fire and water characters. Wind and earth really weren't utilised as much as they could have been. I guess there was the wind lady who was in the film for maybe a total of 5 minutes, and of course, this kid.
Anyway, June Bloom is coming, and you just got to be my date. Cause check it out, I'm all grown up.
Sorry, buddy. Elements don't mix.
Yep, sure, a valid point, I guess, but I think the more important issue there is that you're 10.
What? Come on, he doesn't like my landscaping?
I don't know, maybe they can save it for the sequel. Which I doubt's gonna happen, by the way, because oh my god, this film is not doing great. Which is a bummer, because people should see this film. It's really good, but at the same time, I get it, because the film's advertising really doesn't do the film any favors. As I mentioned before, even I, a longtime Pixar fan, wasn't exactly eager to see this film just based off the trailer. And the film's great, obviously, but the trailer definitely doesn't do it justice. It just makes the film look so generic and looks like something we've seen countless times before. It's not breaking any new ground in terms of Pixar storytelling, so it's not really blowing anyone away. I'm sorry, that was not an element pun. That was completely unintentional, I swear. That's not to say they didn't market the film, because, they marketed the film alright. I was at the train station the other day, one of the biggest in the city, and as soon as I walked in, this is all I see. Just Elemental advertising everywhere. I turn a corner, and there's more. I go up some stairs, and there's more. I go up some more stairs, there's more. I could not escape it. So yes, people knew this film was coming out, but to most, it just didn't look that appealing. Also because, have you seen the number of movies releasing in June alone? It's like a new blockbuster from a massive franchise every week. People may choose to go see a film that has a lot more hype around it with potential spoilers than some Pixar film that realistically is going to be on Disney Plus in a couple of months anyway. Which is another thing that isn't going in the movie's favor. Disney Plus. During the pandemic, when all of Pixar films were going onto Disney Plus and skipping cinema releases altogether, people are just used to not having to bother to go see them in cinemas now. Why pay for an expensive trip to the cinemas when you can just wait for it to go on Disney Plus as part of your subscription? But this is the thing that concerns me. After Lightyear flopped and now Elemental, what does the future of Pixar releases look like? Can we expect to see Pixar films from now on just dumped onto Disney Plus with no thought or care, skipping a theatrical release entirely? That would be disappointing considering the amount of work and effort that goes into these films that won't be able to be appreciated to the same level as they would be on the big screen. Or after a range of original works from Pixar over the last few years, could we expect to start seeing more sequels from them again? We know that Inside Out 2 is set to be released next year, and Toy Story 5 has also been announced. After these two, what's to say that they won't announce Incredibles 3 or Monsters Inc. 2? All in which I've made sequel pictures for, apparently. But, you know, it's Pixar. They're Pixar. Their films are so great and captivating, and Elemental is everything that Pixar is, but is that the problem? Because their films are just not hitting the same way that they used to. Their formula is famously, what if this thing had feelings? You see it in all of their films, but is that enough anymore? You have other animation studios who are bringing out more complex stories that are resonating with audiences more, that are pushing the boundaries of not just storytelling, but animation to an entirely new level. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, that also came out in the same month as Elemental, had a budget of $100 million, and that film looks unreal. What it's able to do with new stylistic choices is groundbreaking, with other studios following in their footsteps, reaching similar levels of success. Elemental cost $2 million to make, and don't get me wrong, it still looks amazing, but considering that Spider-Verse cost half of that, and it's also much longer and visually spectacular, it leaves me questioning, does Pixar need to shift gears a bit? Without Pixar, none of these animation studios would be where they are today, but maybe Pixar does need to push their limits more and take more risks. I don't think Elemental has doomed Pixar. I also don't think that Disney is trying to sabotage them either. That would be crazy, but maybe they do need to change, because otherwise, Disney Plus could be the permanent home for Pixar originals moving forward. Or we might be seeing Toy Story 9 sooner than we think. But that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this and giving this video a big thumbs up. Also, let me know down below what you thought of Elemental and if Pixar needs to change. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.